The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. We are coming to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters. I'm Shannon Penrod and we are starting the Toy Festival right now. This is the Festival of Toys. I've got so many things going on in my head right now for this week that I'm so excited at the toys that we're going to show you and the toys that we're going to be giving away. Really exciting week that we have going on here. But before we get too far into things, I want to bring up a couple of different things. This entire show is meant to be interactive. So Emily's going to cycle through some of the different ways that you can get in touch with us here. I'm going to remind you that if you go to www.autism-live.com, that there is a computer screen there. Click the little triangle arrow there. That will allow you to watch either the live show or the most recently recorded live show. And then next to that computer screen is a long, thin white box. If you put your cursor there and start typing and hit enter, it will show up magically here on my screen. You can do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we'll be able to address your question, concern, comment, whatever you send to us in the next available live show. So when we're live, you can talk to us in almost real time. There's a slight delay. You can ask questions of our experts. You can suggest topics that you would like to see covered on the show. And I always like to remind you at the start of the show that I am not an expert in autism. I am a mother who, my son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. He's now 10. And I have a lot to pay forward in my life because we had access to the very best of therapies and treatments because of other parents who said, here's who you need to go talk to. Here's what you have to ask. Here are the questions that nobody's going to tell you that you should know about and that you should ask about. And as a result of that, we got what we needed. And we know this is a big, beautiful spectrum, that different people need different things. And so I'm here to pay forward that information. And it takes us 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and we still haven't covered it all, even though we've done over 400 shows now. So let us know what you need. We want to help connect you with people who can answer some of your questions and potentially give you more questions to ask. Doesn't matter whether you're a parent of an individual who's on the spectrum, or you yourself are the person on the spectrum, or maybe you're a teacher or practitioner who's working with someone on the spectrum. We want to put tools in your hands so that we can create progress for literally all of us. So important. So with all of that in mind, we want to get to the Toy Festival as quick as possible, so we're going to start with our jargon of the day. This is our morning warm-up where we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym, and we try to make sense of it within the context of our lives. So today, since we're starting our Festival of Toys, what better phrase can we have for you than symbolic play? This is a term that we will hear people talking about how our children, how we play, and we need to understand what it means because there are lots of different types of play. So let's take a look at our actual definition. Symbolic play, endowing objects with other qualities to play with them in socially relevant and appropriate ways. Okay, it's not the worst definition, but I don't know about you. I want to say, what does this have to do with me? What does this have to do with the shopping that I'm about to do for the holidays? And what does this have to do with my child and him gaining skills that are going to be meaningful to him in his life? So let's take a look at our working definition. Symbolic play, using imagination to turn an object into a functional toy. A lot of times you guys will write in and say, I want to work on imagination with my child, or some of you have written in and said, I'm 15, 16 years old and I want to use my imagination more. Are there exercises that we can work on? Well, symbolic play is really incredible. We've talked before on the show about functional pretend play. Those are those toys that look like the shrunken down version of something else. There's the vacuum cleaner that looks like the real vacuum cleaner, and the kids play with it in a socially appropriate way. They pretend that they're vacuuming alongside with mom or dad with this toy vacuum cleaner. I know later on in life we look at that and go, why would you want to give someone a real vacuum cleaner for a gift? Why would you want to give a toy one? But it actually helps kids to learn through observation and then play. Gives them a safe way in which to fail and to succeed. So the next step up from that is symbolic play. Taking toys, maybe you don't have the toy vacuum cleaner, and so instead they, put something together with a Hot Wheel track and they tape something to the bottom and they pretend that it's a vacuum cleaner. Now we're using imagination to put things together and endow them, give them qualities that they didn't already have to use them as play. We see this a lot with cars, that kids will play with Matchbox cars. That's sort of functional pretend play. But then eventually they could pick up a block of wood and they pretend, they go vroom, vroom, and give the characteristics of the Matchbox car to the block of wood. When we work with very small children on enjoying and finding symbolic play reinforcing, we open up an entire world for them later on. Again, this helps to build imagination pathways. It helps for them to look at things in different ways so that it's going to build flexibility of thinking, and it will help them to problem solve. There's a term in psychology called functional fixedness, being able to take a tool and use it in a different way. Very creative, takes a great deal of intelligence and the ability to apply things in different ways. Symbolic play can make that happen, and it can be very reinforcing. If you've ever been someplace with a child and been without toys and needed to entertain them, you can turn anything into a toy. You can fold a dollar bill and make it into a puppet. I can remember once in a restaurant turning a stack of napkins into playing cards to play with a group of small kids because I was desperate. But it really helps to build critical thinking skills and works on imagination. So symbolic play, really remarkable. Okay, we always have a question of the day, and I'm powering through all this because I want to get to the toys as soon as possible. Question of the day today. Since we're talking about toys, we want to know, what is your child's favorite toy of all time? This is a great thing to shout out to other people, because when they're going shopping, I asked Matt Asner 2 weeks ago what toys were his kids' favorite, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on when he's here in the studio with us, because both he and I had the same toy. So that's a good toy, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But imagine if you could know 100 different people's favorite toy for their child. Wouldn't that make shopping this holiday season more exciting for you? You've already gotten a great recommendation. Not just that it's a good toy, but it's their favorite toy. So write those in on Facebook. We'll share some of them a little bit later on, and you'll have an opportunity to have shown that to the world. Very, very exciting. We also always have a topic for the week, and as mentioned, our topic all this week is toys. We have a lineup of toy manufacturers, toy inventors, and toy makers who are going to be with us all this week, showing us toys that are going to put a light in our children's eyes, but more than that, they help to build skills. I know firsthand as a parent how devastating it is this time of year when you look at what your budget is and you think, okay, I've got a lot to accomplish. I need to give something to my child so that they know how special I find them, and I want to, while I'm doing that, spend my dollars wisely so we're building skills. And that's exactly the kinds of toys that we are recommending this week. They are toys that any child will be happy with, any child, not just kids on the autism spectrum, but then we'll talk about what skills they help to build for our individuals who are on the autism autism spectrum. So some of the different things that we have going on this morning, Alex Plank is with me, and he is from wrongplanet.net, as you know. He's going to be talking toys with us. And here for this whole first hour, we have some guests from Endless Games. Brian Turtle is going to be with us. He showed us their Korner'd game before. Well, we have got the hit parade of board games that will do anything but leave your children bored. And there's something for everyone. If you've got a very small child and you're going, what can I do for a child who's a pre-reader to be working on a bunch of different things? We've got the board game for that. And for our very high-functioning kids that are teenagers and young adults, some really fun games that are going to work on critical thinking and social skills and something kind of unexpected. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. That's coming up next. And then in the second hour, Matt Asner from Autism Speaks is going to be here with us. We're going to talk toys with him as well. And we have one of the inventors of the new app, InnerVoice, that everyone is talking about. This is a really exciting app. We're really thrilled that we're going to be showing this. We've talked about it before on the show, but Matt's going to be here with us. So I'm going to have two Matts in the second hour. And he's one of the creators of this wonderful app, and you're going to see how cool it is. And we're giving away some board games from Endless Games in this hour, and we're going to give away one of the InnerVoice apps in the next hour.
Am I eligible for the free games? Am I eligible to win some
Yes,
games?
Absolutely. Alex is here with us.
Enter
You
into
can
the
enter.
contest?
Alex is here, and he's been so quiet while I've run through all that. Sure. If you're watching, here's the thing. Here's how you enter the contest. You want to be watching the show, either live or recorded, and every hour we'll give away at least one item. And the way that you register to win that item, at some point, you have to know what the toy that's being given away. And I'll tell you right now that in this hour, we are giving away Oddly Obvious from Endless Games. We have a bunch of other games to give away from Endless Games, but in this hour, we're giving Oddly Obvious away. This is a fantastic game. We're going to talk about this in just a second with Brian Turtle. At some point in the hour, Emily will put a word or a phrase on the screen for a few seconds. You are going to need to email us, and Emily will put the email address up on the screen. You'll email us in the subject heading. You need to put the name of the toy, because sometimes there's more than one toy. So you have to put the name of the toy. So for this hour, it's Oddly Obvious. And whatever the word or phrase is that Emily flashes on the screen, I don't even know what it is or when it's coming. And of the correct responses that come into our email box, which is being shown on the screen right now, you have to enter by 7 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow morning. And of the correct responses, we will pick somebody at random who will win Oddly Obvious. And next hour, it will be that wonderful app, InnverVoice. And every hour between now and our last show on December 20th that we are live, when we're live, every hour we're going to give something away. And you just won't believe the kinds of things that we're going to give away. It's amazing. So everyone is eligible unless you're related to someone who actually works on the show, and you're a guest, Alex. So you're eligible. And I've got some awesome
Because I don't
things.
technically work on the show, right?
That's right. You're a guest, so you are eligible. You may, but please, if you notice when she puts up the word, don't shout it out, because it's a secret when it appears. All right, we are going to take a break. We're going to come back with Alex Plank. He's going to be talking with us about toys, and our special guest, Brian Turtle from Endless Games. Awesome board games, you guys. So stick with us. Hi, we're at the Toys R Us in Porter Ranch, California. And Emily and I are going to take a little tour around the store and find some great toys for some great kids.
All right, let's go.
Come with us.
Yes.
Okay, bring your dinosaur and come on. Let's go look at things in the game aisle.
Okay.
I know you love games.
I do look.
All right. So here we are in the game aisle, Emily, and I want to show you that there's all these games that you can get for kids of all ages. They're interactive and really remarkable. One of the hot toys this year and many other years is the Bop It toy.
Okay, so what about the Bop It is so reinforcing?
Well, you know what? It can be interactive. It can be a social game. It makes lots of noises. Sometimes they light up depending on the version. It helps helps to work on fine motor skills and it helps to work on fluency. This toy will grow with the child, and in fact you can get it in different versions. This is a little bit more complex version, and up top here we have one that's especially for older kids. It's called the Smash the Light. I would wait until a child is older to play with this one. So should we check out the Lego aisle?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
Go. So how can we use Legos to help our kids?
Well, they're really spectacular toys for our kids because they work on executive functions and planning. They're really colorful. You can work on colors and grouping and matching, counting, because they have the little dots on the top. And if you have a younger child, you can start with the Duplo toys that are compatible with Lego and they don't have the choking hazard.
So then as the kids get older, what's great about Legos, it looks like, is that there's all sorts of themes. We've got movies here and video games, so the kids can really connect with what's personal to them. So Legos are amazing, but what else do we have to see?
Let's look at some educational toys in the leapfrog aisle, shall we? Okay.
Okay, so what do you have here?
Well, we're in the leapfrog aisle. This particular toy, very popular this year, is a leap reader. It comes with a little pen, and it tells us that we're going to read, write, and listen, all skills that we want to work on with a child. This pen that's in this box, you can put it over different pages in the book. It will read aloud to the child. They can trace their letters. It reinforces them for doing a great job. It's a really spectacular toy for our younger kids that are working on reading, writing, and listening.
This looks like a lot of fun and a really great way to help our kids learn to read and write.
Absolutely.
What else are we going to play with today?
I think we should take a trip down the functional pretend play aisle. This is where you're going to find all the things that are like real, but the toy version. So I've got this lovely set here that's all fresh vegetables, so I'm teaching nutrition at the same time. They're all appropriately colored, but I've got a knife so I can be cutting them too. This is really great play for a young child.
Shannon, I heard you got some toys that I get to play with now.
Yes, I'm going to take you to the demo table. We're going to let Emily play with some toys, and we're going to be giving some of these toys away on the show. But they're not just any toys. These are toys that are featured in this year's Toys R Us toy guide for differently abled children. And this is put together with the help of our friends at Lecotech.
So what do all these different icons mean?
These are different icons that tell us what skill this toy might help to develop in our children.
So can I play with the toys now?
Yes, it's time to play with the toys, Emily.
So I think I recognize this guy.
Yes, this is the ever popular and very sweet Elmo. But this is a very specific Elmo that teaches adaptive skills like zippering.
Elmo's yellow triangle zipper.
And so we get the reinforcement of Elmo talking to us when we do these things. There's a let's keep playing. So it encourages the child to continue to interact. And he's very reinforcing. When he giggles, I just want to hug him and play with him some more. Okay, so moving on, let's look at some Melissa and Doug toys. These are incredible toys. They'll last several different generations because they're made out of good quality wood.
Awesome.
And let's start with a lace and trace toy. Now, I happen to know that you love turtles,
I
Emily.
do love turtles.
And this is a set of farm animals lace and trace. And the child can pick out a color that they for a lace.
All right.
And there are lots of different things that they can do with this. And I know it might seem like this is an old-fashioned toy, but you know, sometimes the old-fashioned toys are the best toys. Because what you're doing right now, Emily, is that you're using a lot of hand-eye coordination and you're using the pincer grasp. This is a precursor to writing right here. If you've got a child who's having difficulty holding a pencil, this is a really reinforcing way to work on this. And it comes in lots of different things. And then also for Melissa and Doug, we have this amazing switch and spin. Love this so much. This is a great cause and effect toy. As we start to put the gears together, we notice that when you turn one, another one can turn. You can rearrange this and do it in lots of different ways. There are 10 design boards, so you don't have to just do fish. There are other things that you can put there instead.
That's awesome.
Kids love this toy, and it's another Melissa and Doug toy.
Cool.
All right, let's take a look at some fun games.
So I found this game, and it's called Fibber. So Shannon, I'm going to need you to put on your fibbing glasses.
I want a fib.
All right. So this game is totally reinforcing, and it helps our kids to work on lying.
Yes, and that's something we really, I know it sounds strange, but we want to work on that because being able to tell a lie is something that helps with safety issues. And also being able to tell if somebody else is lying is a really useful life skill.
What you need to do is get rid of your cards without trying to grow your nose, kind of like Pinocchio.
Okay.
But if you get caught,
And so eventually you can have a whole string of noses attached to the end of your nose. Very colorful. Again, we can be working on the colors. Kind of hilarious. A kid's going to want to play this with mom or dad and see that mom is Pinocchio telling lots of lies. I like this game a lot.
this is a great game.
We've had a really great time at Toys R Us, and all of the toys that you see here on the table we're going to be giving away on the show. So stay tuned to find out how you can win one of these great toys. Welcome back to Autism Live for the start, the kickoff of our Festival of Toys. As I mentioned before, Alex Plank from WrongPlanet.net is here. And joining us via Skype, we have Brian Turtle from Endless Games. Brian, welcome back to Autism Live.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we enjoy having you because you have really incredible, clever games. Tell us just a little bit, for people who haven't seen you before, about Endless Games.
Well, Endless Games, we've been in business now since 1996, and we're old school. You know, we realize the value in the classic board game and getting your family and your friends around the table and putting your cell phone down and kind of rediscovering human connections through play. And that's what we hope that our board games can provide for families and friends.
Well, they really do. They're remarkable games, and you've got an assortment of games here, and there's something for everyone. So we want to start by talking about some of your really favorites and new games out. Tell us tell us the first game you want to talk about.
Well, we've got a couple of new ones that we just started shipping this year, and I think that my personal favorite is a game here called Oddly Obvious.
And I'm holding it here too. Alex and I were just playing it during the break.
Yes, and I won.
Yes,
I beat her. She did.
He was really good at this game. So tell our viewers a little bit about Oddly Obvious and why it's so much fun.
It's really neat because it's a game where all of the answers are in your face. A funny story, we actually called this game In Your Face before we brought it to market, and then we had realized that we didn't have the rights to calling it In Your Face, so we, at the 11th hour, changed it over to Oddly Obvious, which I prefer. I think that's a better name.
Yeah.
But the gameplay is so simple and so sort of addictive. It's got that the fast play that you want to do it again and again. What it is that all of the sort of contestants of the game see the front of the card, and the host of the game sees the back of the card. So I would see the clues, and I would read off the clues, and the people playing would have to be the first one to shout out the word that corresponds to the clue that I say.
Okay, so give Alex and I the A clue, and we'll try to pick it from your card. We can see it. Can you see his card, Alex?
Can you see the card?
I can see the card.
We can see the
Put
card.
it up higher. There,
we go,
perfect.
right
Keep
there.
it right there. Don't move it.
Okay, so give us the clue.
If I say the clue is what a pirate pays for corn.
Oh, a buccaneer.
That's right. So you see, it's punny and it's got double meaning, double words. A buccaneer, as in he pays a buck an ear of corn.
I can't see the rest of the card. You're holding it. You're not holding it all the way up.
I cheated because Alex couldn't. There we go.
Yeah,
now
I always thought it was buccaneer, and I was like, what does that word say?
All right, we have to give one more because I cheated.
How about this one? How about you can catch it but not throw it?
Can catch it but not throw it.
Cold.
Oh, of course, it's a cold. Great.
Right.
And Alex just trumped me during the break. He was so good at this. And I have to say, I was surprised at how good my 10-year-old was at this game. Great game for working on language flexibility.
It does, and it's great for that flexible language skills and things like that, and just recognizing puns and things where, you know, you kind of have to think of things not in the most literal sense of the word.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about, we're talking about Name 5 next, aren't we?
Yeah.
Tell us about this awesome game.
Yeah, just by the way, we do play a lot of Oddly Obvious on our Endless Games page on Facebook, so if folks want to check out the game there, they're welcome to.
Definitely check it out. Fun. We're going to play it at Thanksgiving. So
it's great. That's honestly, this is one of my favorite times of year because Thanksgiving dinner is the best time to get together with your family and break out a board game and just kind of reconnect with everybody.
Absolutely. And if you play on teams, then you can have lots of age ranges. You'll find that it's really easy. But talk to us a little bit about Name 5.
Sure. A great team game, and good segue there. Name 5 is one that you get a category and you have to come up with 5 answers in that category. And I say it's a great team game because some of the categories may be, something that you, Shannon, might be an expert at, but maybe Alex doesn't know so well.
Right.
Or on the next question, maybe it's something that fits more into Alex's strengths,
Right.
and he helps you out being your teammate. So, for example, can you name 5 Disney princesses?
Ooh, okay. So Cinderella, Jasmine. My niece would be so angry at me. Belle, the princess from, I think she counts as a princess.
Oh, sure.
Does a Sleeping Beauty count?
Sleeping Beauty, yeah. So we need one more, Alex. Help me out here.
Snow White?
Snow White, there we go.
There you go.
Ding, 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 ding.
Was
ding,
she a
ding,
princess, though?
They count as the Disney princesses.
Yeah, they count because I think she married a prince at the end of Snow White. So.
There you go.
That's
Right,
all
and
you
they-
need,
and that's
right?
all you
Yeah.
need.
Well, it's great that it's a team game because I think that's
Yes.
really important for teaching skills and working in teams to individuals on the autism spectrum. A lot of times you'll see kids in class and they'll do so horribly that no one will want to be in their group anymore. And
Right.
if you start learning these games earlier on, then you get practice with teams and
Yeah,
you sort of
Right.
can foster
Well,
that skill.
absolutely.
And the classroom setting can sometimes build up some of that anxiety. So we hope that by having it in the board game setting, that anxiety and that trepidation is subdued a little bit, and that you're having fun.
Absolutely. And so then the last one we want to talk about for a second before we take a break is, you've been on the show to talk about this before. This is Autism Speaks seal of approval on this one. Awesome game, Korner'd. Tell us a
That's
little bit
right.
about this game, Brian.
Yep, you and I have spoken about this one in the past, Shannon.
It's a great game.
It was really the game that kind of sort of led us to this interview today, and kind of led Endless Games into the area where we want to create product that has more benefit than just being something fun to do on a rainy day. And what Korner'd is it's a color pattern recognition game. You've got the game board here that has all of these squares all over the board, and then it comes to 36 tiles like this that have 4 colors, one in each corner. And what you want to do is try to place your tile on the board in the intersection where the 4 colors will meet up.
Yeah.
And it's deceivingly difficult because there's only one unique spot for each individual tile, as I throw them all over me.
That's okay. And it requires really flexible thinking, good visual acuity. My son was awesome at this, but my husband was really challenged at this. And it was so great for my son's self-esteem because he just beat my husband and I badly at this.
Right, and I have a niece who's on the spectrum, and she has Asperger's syndrome, and she's sometimes a little reticent to play a board game because, again, the winning and losing creates some tension and anxiety. But she got right into Korner'd, and she was great at it. She was beating me. It kind of played to her strengths in recognizing the pattern and seeing it a little differently, and it gave her a real sense of self-confidence, and to the point where she was kind of smack talking with me as she was beating me in games. So.
I love it. So, Brian, where can people get these games?
We're partners with some retailers out there like Barnes & Noble. Some of these games are available at Toys R Us, Walmart. I think for the most part, if you're looking for a retailer near you, Barnes & Noble has the 3 that we just discussed, or you can look online. You can get them at Amazon.com. You can go right to EndlessGames.com, and you can find a retailer near you there, or you can order them right from our website.
These are good quality board games with fabulous instructions so that it's easy to figure out and start to play within, really seconds, and they're quite wonderful. We're gonna be giving away a Korner'd and an Oddly Obvious today, and more of these games in the coming weeks. We're gonna pause for a second, take a break, and we're gonna come back with 3 other board games from Endless Games. One of them, my son's favorite game, and one that's gonna be great if you've got really young kids, and another one for the older kids. So we're gonna hit it all in this next segment. Stick with us, we'll be right back.
Hi guys, welcome back to Smarty. For November, we're going to be working on memory with our kids, and what better way than doing a scavenger hunt? The materials you'll be needing for this activity are a camera, cardstock, scissors, glue, and whatever objects you want your child to be hunting for. Step 1, you're the hunter. Find all the objects you want your child looking for and take photos of them. Now that you've collected all the objects you want your kids hunting for later, print out the images and then cut them out and glue them on a cardstock just so they're organized and isolated. Now that the scavenger hunt template is done, put all the objects back where they belong. Remember, we're working on memory, so put them in places that your kids would normally find them. You want them to be successful. We'll make this one really easy to find. Well, I hope you enjoyed this activity with your kids. Remember, the scavenger hunt is supposed to be a fun way to work on memory. Well, until next time, craft on, guys.
Can you see me flying by your side?
Welcome back to Autism Live and to our Festival of Toys. I'm here with Alex Plank from wrongplanet.net.
And we have a new board up on the table right here.
Yes. Our guest via Skype is Brian Turtle from Endless Games. He was just talking to us about some board games. We've got 3 new board games. And this one right here, Alex, is Crazy Legs. And Brian, tell us a little bit about this game and who it's ideal for.
Yeah, Crazy Legs is great. It was inspired a lot, as a lot of our products are, by children. This one, my own 2 daughters, ages 4 and 6, have so much extra energy. They're constantly doing laps around the dining room table or jumping on the couch cushions, everything kids do. So Crazy Legs is kind of an exercise program or a whole physical fitness regimen disguised as a board game.
And you know what I said about this when we played this the other night? I said, this is like Candyland for this century because it's super easy. The child doesn't have to be a reader per se, and you can play this like Candyland, but it's going to get everybody in the family up and moving and being silly and physical.
That's exactly right. That's what we were going for, and we kind of wanted to go for the element of maybe my kids will go to bed on time tonight after having played Crazy Legs.
Wear them all out.
Because
and
they're
us
so
too.
Exhausted. You know, and I have to point out that the cards, we worked together with some YMCAs and with a group up in Massachusetts called Knucklebones, and we came up with a really kid-friendly sort of exercise program. So you can go around the board. There's different things it'll tell you to do on the path, but where there's not, you draw a card, and here you may have to do push-ups.
I've got one that says jumping jacks.
And that's good because a lot of the games
What I also like about it is we incorporated about 25 kids' yoga poses.
Yes.
So you can do, here's my daughter Lila, by the way. So
oh, how sweet.
Yes, in her rainbow pose. So there's different cards for yoga positions or exercises. And again, by the end of the game, you've had a nice dose of physical fitness, and you might be ready for bed.
And what were you saying, Alex, about why this is so cool?
You see a lot of kids playing video games and just board games where they're not moving around, and it's not good. I remember when I was a kid, I was always out and about in the woods doing stuff and playing and making up games.
Absolutely.
And that's really important, so this kind of promotes that concept.
And it's
even
gross
if you're
motor.
inside, if it's raining or something.
It's gross motor. It's also being able to mirror what's happening on the card. And we particularly loved when you would land on something that got everybody involved at the table. So there's one that's crazy dancing where everybody has to get up and dance crazy for 10 seconds. And it was really a great bonding thing for our whole family and for the friends we were playing with. Everybody really enjoyed this. Super duper game.
I'm a big fan of it myself, and it's great fun to see everybody kind of laughing and carrying on, and you're just sort of exerting all of that excess energy that the kids have, and that the adults are trying to keep up with.
It's true, because when everybody starts being physical, other things happen, and it allows you to be silly, allows your kids to be silly. We love this game, Brian. This is wonderful. Again, this is Crazy Legs. This is the board for it. I want everybody to see the box. There's the box for Crazy Legs. And so, Brian, tell us again where we can get these toys, where we can get these board games.
Yeah, I had mentioned a couple of retailers before, but I want to emphasize, especially on some games here like Crazy Legs, that we have great partners in the specialty toy retailer community. So go to your local toy stores, look up your local stores online, and you can find some of those retailers on endlessgames.com. But just go in any toy game store, some bookstores, and if they're not carrying Crazy Legs, or if they're not carrying Oddly Obvious or another game you like that you see today, ask them to give us a call at Endless Games, and we'll make sure we get them to you right away.
Okay.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. Now, the next one I want to talk about, Brian, was my husband's favorite one, Encore.
Yep.
This is an awesome game. I'm going to give a couple of cards to Alex in case we play here for a second. So tell us what Encore is all about.
Okay, quick history on Encore. It's the one game in the Endless Games library that we have had since 1996. So it's the one that's been consistent, has weathered the storms and ridden the ride from ups and downs from our birth as a company. This was one of the first games that we set out to do, and the reason why it lasts and has that longevity is because it caters to everybody who's ever listened to a song, turned on the radio, enjoys Christmas music, whatever. The game is you get a word and you have to sing a song with that word in the lyrics. So, for example, if the word is love,
okay,
my team has to sing a song. We say, love, love me do, you know I love you. Now, Alex and Shannon, you have to sing a song with love in the lyrics.
So
How did you know that was the top of the first card that I picked up?
Is it really?
Yes,
Did you
it
both
is.
pick
Here,
up
you
the
can
same
look.
card? How
Well, you
funny
can't
is that?
see, but
Connected here.
Vulcan Mind Meld.
Yeah.
I would say the Partridge Family song, I Think I Love You. I'm not going to embarrass myself and sing it, but I Think I Love You. So what am I so afraid of? I'm afraid
David
that I'm not sure. Right.
David
Please. I love David Cassidy. So Alex, can you come up with a song that has love in it? Somewhere in the lyrics?
Love me, say that you love me.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
All right, yeah, sixpence, none the richer.
There we go.
And then it would come back to me, and I would go to Barney. I love you, you love me.
Right.
Basically, that should just illustrate there. That's a great cross section, because here we hit the Partridge Family to Sixpence None the Richer to the Beatles to Barney. So
There we go.
that's how great the Encore can kind of tie in every musical genre and musical taste.
And this is another great game to play in teams, right, Brian?
Oh, absolutely. It's another one we encourage team play for, because when you're on the clock, and there is a 30-second timer in the game, when you're on that clock, it's difficult to come up with some right away. You might get stumped.
Yeah.
So it's nice when you have a teammate there to kind of be in the foxhole with you.
It's my husband's birthday this weekend, and we're going to have some people over, and so this is a game that we're going to play with them. And this really was my husband's favorite. He just loved this because it got us singing all these songs. And I was, again, amazed. My son and I were on a team together, and I was amazed at how well he did because I think usually this is going to be more for older kids that got to have at least some experience with music. But my son held his own at 10.
Yeah, no, it's great. My 4-year-old daughter can try to hang in there with us on this one, and it's nice that she's on a team, but it's fun to watch.
Okay, and so the last one I want to talk about was my son's favorite, Anger Management, the game. And I think this is so clever, Brian. Tell our viewers about this game.
Okay, so it's the game of what's your problem. It's all about things that annoy you, annoy us, and it's kind of a lighthearted, whimsical way to vent about life's little pitfalls and the things that we endure on a constant basis, waking up late or getting a flat tire or a trip to the dentist. And what it is it's kind of a platform to emote and discuss these things. And when we open up about what our pet peeve is about that trip to the dentist, maybe I don't like the sound of the drill, or maybe you find the dental hygienist to be obnoxious, or whatever the case is, we write down our answers on the back of these cards here, and I want to show you. These are rageometers.
Love it.
This is Furious Frank.
I have Heather Hissy Fit. Who do you have, Alex? Who's the name on the top of your card? Right at the very top there.
Road Rage Ronnie.
Road Rage Ronnie.
Yeah. That's right. Here he is right here.
Okay.
So what it is when you match answers with another player and sort of have a common bond over what it is that annoys you in that area of life, you move your temperature up from perfectly calm up 1 degree as you head towards absolutely steamed. And kind of the, I guess the philosophy is that you're dumping all of that bad energy and all of that anger onto this thing and getting it off of yourself. So at the end of a round of anger management, it's kind of like you've had some therapy and you feel a little lighter, and you're not carrying all that anger around anymore.
But you know, there's a set of lessons in when you're teaching a young person with autism and ABA about how to see whether something that's bothering you is a level 1 or a level 10. Because if somebody steps on your foot in the lunch line, it's not the same thing as your dog ran away. And we teach our kids, you know, that there's a spectrum of how upset you should be about something, so that it's not all one speed. That sometimes we see kids having a meltdown over something that isn't as big of a deal as something else.
So the dog running away would be the smaller deal?
No, the dog running away would be...
I would say getting your foot crushed is worse than having your dog run away.
Well, but if somebody just stepped on your foot lightly, I'm not talking about a car running over your foot, right?
That's different.
Right,
It's really, I guess,
but here we get into these discussions.
And they're wearing shoes.
But this is exactly what the game does, is that you would have an opportunity to say, I think having my foot stepped on is worse than the dog running away, and then everybody at the table talks about it, and we see each other's perspective.
Right.
That Alex has an opportunity to say, my foot is really much more important to me than my dog. Right? And then I have a great
I don't have a dog, so if my dog ran away, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Right, exactly. So then we have a better understanding of it. But it puts it in a very fun context, Brian. I just thought this was super duper clever, and my son loved this.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. It's one that never ceases to amaze me, because it was really developed as a party game, as a way to laugh at the flat tires that you encounter in life. And it really has developed into a teaching aid. You know, it gives teachers a chance to allow students to kind of explain certain things and, you know, answer the question, why did this make you feel that way?
Yes.
And like just about every game we just discussed, and like all board games, as far as I like to think of them, you know, the experience of playing a board game, it's more about the journey than it is about the destination. You know, there's a winner and a loser in all of these games, but the kind of the course that you take in finding who that winner is more about, you know, finding out about yourself and finding out about your friends and your family that you're playing with. And anger management's a great vehicle to kind of create that discovery.
Absolutely.
And I think the other great thing about it is the fact that it makes you learn to have fun with things that make you mad. So you're actually learning to not take life so seriously.
Right.
You know, and that's really important.
Absolutely. And it goes about it in many different ways. There's 5 different categories. In fact, we're gonna play this in just a second. But tell us one more time, Brian, how people can access these games.
A lot of them are at Barnes & Noble, like I said. Other big retailers do carry some of these, but really our biggest customer base are those mom and pop toy stores and that specialty toy community. And, you know, just on any given street in America, you may find a locally run, locally owned business that sells toys and games, and try those guys first and see if they carry anger management or Oddly Obvious or Name 5. And if you can't find it there, tell them to find us. Or if you choose to do so, you can go to endlessgames.com, or you can go to amazon.com. They'll have them there as well.
These are super duper games. So we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and play a short little round of anger management, the 3 of us.
I'm really excited about this.
Me too. Stick with us.
Hi, I'm Bryce Myler, and I'm the Contracts Director for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I've been here for about 5 years. CARD has several employees with many years of insurance experience, dealing with insurance, dealing with pre-authorizations, dealing with discovering whether there's coverage or not. So we have more experience than any ABA provider that I've ever come across. So for a prospective client, somebody that may be interested in, you know, ABA therapy and what CARD has to offer, we have a special 800 number, and you call that number. They will talk to you about what we have to offer, how ABA works. He'll ask you for the front and back of your ID card, and then we check to see if you do or do not have coverage. If you have coverage for ABA therapy, we try to do whatever we can to set it up where we can bill for you and you don't have to fight with the insurance company every month to get your claims paid. For California residents, we recently did a series of insurance trainings all over the state, and you can click on the link below to watch pretty much the full presentation. It has a lot of information, how you can get your insurance company to comply with what they're supposed to do, understanding the networks, and many other valuable pieces of information.
Welcome back to Autism Live and to the Festival of Toys. Our special guest via Skype is Brian Turtle. I'm here in the studio with Alex Plank from WrongPlanet.net, and we're going to play a couple of minutes here, just 2 short minutes of anger management, this awesome game. And I mentioned that there are a bunch of different categories, so Alex, I'm going to have you spin the board.
I'm not
here.
going first, though.
Oh.
You have to go first.
All right,
I don't like going first.
You spin, though, and come up with a category.
Oh,
What is
player's choice.
Player's choice. Okay.
And I get to choose. Then.
Okay, so there's 5 different categories.
Cool.
There's least favorite, pet peeves, bug off, what bugs you the most, and the whiner is, and mood swings. So which one do you want to pick?
I'm going to choose mother, because it's excluding your own mother. and all the other mothers like really anger
which
me.
one? Which category was that in, though? Was that
least favorite?
Least favorite. Okay.
Oh, your least favorite mother. Okay.
Okay. So because I didn't know which category. Okay. So on your card under least favorite, what does it say there?
Mother.
Mother. So we want to say the least favorite. We all have to write down on our card who we think our least favorite mother is of all time.
So we're going to write down. It could be, real, fictional, whatever.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't want to write down your own mother.
Right. Not allowed to do that. Okay. So, and we can also, we win more points if we write down what somebody else wrote. So you could write down your least favorite, or you could be thinking smart and thinking, what do I think mom or dad or my brother is going to say?
How much time do we get?
Yeah, I'm going to give you 10 seconds. So quick, write something down. Okay, I've got mine written down on my little card. They're dry erase boards here. And Brian's done. So do you have yours written down?
I forgot. I don't know her name.
All right, well, you can explain it to us. So Brian, reveal, what did you write?
Joan Crawford, Mommy Dearest.
There you go. I wrote Cinderella's stepmother. And what were you going to say?
I was actually I was going to say Joan Crawford at first, but then I thought of another mother that was worse than her, which was that one woman who drowned her autistic kids in a bathtub.
Oh, okay, yeah, I would say she wins. I would say she wins.
I
Okay.
would say she wins. Now, let's assume then if Alex had gone with his initial instinct and said Joan Crawford, because we matched answers, we'd both move up from perfectly calm up to mildly irritated.
Yes.
So we'd be one step closer towards absolutely steamed.
And I love these rageometers because it starts to put a visual in a kid's head about, well, here I am, I'm perfectly calm. Here I'm mildly irritated. Now I'm increasingly annoyed. I'm obviously agitated, decidedly displeased, positively peeved, righteously outraged, irrationally irate, insanely incensed, rabidly wrathful, all the way up to absolutely steamed. And I noticed after we played this the other day that at one point my son was doing something and I said to him, you need to stop that. And he said, okay. And then he did it again. And I said, okay, I am now 2 up. I am at obviously agitated now. Do you want me to get to all the way up to absolutely steamed? And he said no, and he stopped. So I just want to point out one of the other, a mood swing here on my card. It says the DMV tester makes you parallel park and execute a 3/4 turn. All players who have ever failed a driving test adjust their rageometer to positively peeved. So it brings up other things in discussion. I love this one, the bug off one. What bugs you the most? People who like to cast the first stone, rules carved in stone, or talking to people who are stoned. So some of these things are a little bit for older kids, right?
Right. But the game was written by a TV show writer who used to write for the show. Oh gosh, what's it called? With Tim Allen.
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement.
The instructions are hilarious.
Yeah, it's got good hilarity to it, and it's very cleverly written, and written from that perspective of someone who used to write for a sitcom.
And you know, these are all great things to talk about with your child. My child is 10, and we didn't get that question, but you know what? I would welcome that question, because I know that people on his playground are talking about, you know, if somebody is stoned, and he needs to understand what that means. It opens up discussions that you want to have with your child.
Yeah,
so,
and it opens up that discussion where it's not kids come in here and sit at the table. We're going to have a serious talk.
Exactly.
It opens it up in an environment that's whimsical and where everybody's in an open sort of state of, you know, speaking freely and listening freely.
Yes. Well, Brian, I love this game. This was my son's favorite game. We all thought this was really cool, and we love all of the games that we talked about: Anger Management, Encore, Crazy Legs, Oddly Obvious, Korner'd, and Name 5.
And the best part about it is they've all been safety tested.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
so I won't hurt myself. And
that's right.
That's a very important consideration.
And they're well-made. They're quality, well-made games with easy instructions.
Made here in America.
Oh, we love that, Brian. Okay, so really remarkable. One last time, where can they get these toys?
Best bet, go to endlessgames.com, find a local retailer near you, contact Endless Games, and we'll tell you where to go. Or you can try Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, some of your other websites there. Trollin' Toad's another good website. But try your local toy and game stores in your areas that you live in, and ask for these games by name. And if they don't know them, say contact Endless Games and get them in here.
Awesome. And we want to make sure that we acknowledge that Endless Games has given us copies of each one of these games. We're going to be giving them away. We're giving away 2 today, and we're going to be giving away some pretty often in the next couple of weeks, all the way up to December 20th. So stay tuned to find out how you can win some of these great board games. Brian, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back for a short segment with Alex before we have to say goodbye to him. So stick with us.
Awesome.
Hi everyone! Thanksgiving is fast approaching, and we thought it'd be really fun to teach you a gluten-free stuffing recipe with help from Breads from Anna. Now this is a 2-day recipe, and so day 1 we're going to make this bread. Here's what you're going to need: 1 package of Breads from Anna bread mix, 1 packet of active dry yeast, 3 eggs, 1 tablespoon apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons sugar, 1/4 cup of oil, 1/2 cup of warm water, 1 teaspoon ground sage, thyme, rosemary, 1 tablespoon of dried parsley, and then a pinch of tarragon, onion powder, marjoram, and garlic powder. On day 2, when we put the stuffing together, here's what you'll be needing: 6 tablespoons of butter, 1/2 bulb of fennel, 1 chopped onion, 2 chopped carrots, 1/2 cup of gluten-free chicken broth, 1 teaspoon of ground sage, thyme, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and pepper. All right, step 1, we're going to dissolve our sugar into our water. And then we're going to go ahead and add our active yeast. We're going to dissolve all these together. So we're going to just set this aside. Now we're going to take our bread mix right on over to our mixer. So first things first, we're going to put all our liquids together before we add in our dry bread mix. We're putting in 3 eggs, our oil, apple cider vinegar, water, and our water, yeast, sugar mixture. We're going to blend these all together. So once our liquids are all mixed together, we're going to go ahead and add our bread mix. We're also going to add all of our spices now. Okay, now that our breads have been mixed, we're going to spoon this into a bread dish, and we're going to let it rise for about an hour. Okay, so now that we've let this rise for about an hour, we're going to bake it at 375 for another hour. All right, it's been an hour, so let's grab our bread out of the oven. We're going to let this cool for a little bit, and then we're going to actually cube the bread, and we're going to toast it in the oven just a little bit longer to dry it out so that when we add it to the vegetables, it'll make a really great stuffing. So as you can see, we've toasted our little breads here in the oven, and now what we're going to do is saute some of these vegetables so that we can mix it in with the bread and make our final stuffing combination. So we'll start with the butter. So we're going to start with our onions so that we can make sure these are good and cooked before we add the other vegetables. They cook a little bit longer. Okay, those are looking pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and add our fennel, our carrots, our garlic, and then all our spices. So you're going to want to cook this until the carrots especially are nice and soft. Our vegetables are pretty soft here, so what we're going to do is go ahead and mix this with our bread. We're also going to go ahead now and add our ½ cup of broth. So once these are mixed together, we're going to go ahead and pour it into our greased baking dish, and we're going to bake it an additional 20 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, I think it's ready. Da, da, da. All right, and we can add a little garnish here. Perfect, and it's ready for Thanksgiving dinner. To learn how you can win some breads from Anna, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/autism-live. Until next time, happy holidays.
Welcome back to Autism Live and to our Festival of Toys. And with us right now is Alex Plank from WrongPlanet.net. And we wanted to leave at least a couple of minutes for you to talk about games that you want to recommend and toys that you want to recommend.
Well, I think what's that?
You had a great idea that you were talking about during the
Well, I thought one cool thing was and this is for obviously not like super young kids who can't understand it, but you can do a simulated stock market game. And I remember that was a lot of fun for me. And also it teaches you life lessons.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were talking about not using real money.
Well, I mean, if you have a lot of money and if you want your kid to lose it all, because they probably will.
Right. Or it's possible that they would make a whole lot of money.
That's true.
But
they could make millions.
Invest in with fake money, sort of like how people do fantasy baseball and fantasy football.
If your child makes millions with fake money, then you
give
start,
them some
start
real money. Yes, that could be a whole new. Now, did you have an opportunity to do that as a kid? Did you ever? And did you make money or lose money? Fake money. And so now, are you somebody who invests in the stock market as a result of that?
Yeah,
You dabble.
I don't really invest so much as I make short plays.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Well, you'll have to fill me in on that. I'm completely inept where those things are concerned.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing to do because most people lose money.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's really hard.
I'm very good at that. I'm not somebody who can even go to
you could
Vegas.
be good at, If you're a compulsive gambler, then you shouldn't do it.
I'm somebody who goes to Vegas, and I hate to put a quarter into a slot machine. I'm like, that's wasteful.
This is not, though, because you have the potential of making money.
And you also are investing in a company, and that helps the economy. And you also had mentioned you've got a wonderful review of some different toys on your site. So tell people where they can access that.
Autism Talk TV has a great toys episode, but we focus not on games, but on STEM toys. And a lot of people with autism have sensory issues, and these stimming behaviors that they do also can translate into these toys that they can have, like these squishy balls, or we even had this thing called a poop ball, which is exactly what it sounds. It's a ball filled with fake poop, and this Chinese yo-yo where you do that and like it's paper and.
We have to go back to the fake poop ball. I need to know more about this. Do you have to squeeze it to get the poop out?
It does not smell like poop.
Okay.
It smells sort of like synthetic, like rubber. So.
Okay. And the point is
it's like inside. It's just like it's just the feeling of it. I mean, there's like lots of different balls with different. There's this. We had this all these cool like materials, like this stuff that's almost like sand, but also kind of like Play-Doh. And they were displaying them at one of the autism conferences, and we did an episode there where we got to play with all these.
I love toys like this. Well, I can't wait to watch this video. And so how do we access it? Where do we go?
I would say you go to WrongPlanet.net.
Okay, and then search what?
Toy episode, Autism Talk TV.
Okay.
We had multiple toy episodes, though.
Okay, so there'll be several different things there to take a look.
And one of them was not just toys, it was other things, too. It was the whole conference that we went to.
Okay. And give us some good ideas for a wide range of, but hopefully, because I know it's hard for the older kids to figure out. I think sometimes they know more about technology than we do, and we can consult them. But as a parent, I know I'm hitting this place where I don't quite know what to get him technology-wise, and I'd like to surprise him with something that he hasn't already told me about. So I imagine you would be a good resource to tell us about what kinds of things. Like if somebody were going to get you a gift, what do you want right now?
Money. No,
money is always good.
I would want one of the squishy toys because those are for all ages.
Okay.
I mean, anyone can have one of those.
Great. So that would be something that you would be thrilled with.
There are these rubber balls with like other little balls inside, and then like there are rubber balls with sand or some other weird material that sort of holds form, and you can sort of squeeze the ball. And it really depends on what you personally like.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a case-by-case basis. You could buy you could buy Encore for your kid, and they could hate it. You never know.
Right. Well, it's all a
but then
preference
they could
thing.
love anger management and only play that game.
Right.
So you never know.
It depends on what your kid's into. But I love the squishy balls too. Jem had for a long time some that if you squish them hard enough,
and some of them make noise.
Yeah, and some of them change colors and light up and change
and they have
colors.
lights. Yes.
I like he had a dolphin that changed colors.
It's a shame that we can't play the toy video today. I mean, we really need to play that video.
Well, we want to send people to your site too. We want them to go to your site to see that. Yes.
That's true. Wrongplanet.net is
wrongplanet.net, where you'll find all of those different things that Alex is talking about. Alex, thank you for being here and
thank you for having me.
And for going through playing all those games with me. That was we have to have you over to the house for a game night.
I would love to.
That would be really fun. I think that would be just a
we could make popcorn and stuff and nachos and
absolutely.
Obviously, I would bring some of the supplies myself and
I think that'd be really fun. We should do that.
Another game that's cool is Risk. I love that game.
I
and
love
chess.
Risk.
I played chess all the time when I was a kid.
I did too, and I love to play Risk. There were a group of people at my college that would get together for an entire weekend. No one was allowed out of the building until your army was defeated. Marathons of Risk.
And here's the thing, and I have to say this before we go because I think it's really important. Sometimes your kid, while they may not speak or they may seem like they are not going to be able to play some more sophisticated game, a lot of times those kids get bored by these like less sophisticated games and want to play something like chess. It really depends on the kid, obviously.
It really depends on the kid. We're looking at people as individuals. I will say that I thought, for instance, that Oddly Obvious was going to be too hard for my son, and he laughed hysterically. He had the most fun, and I was surprised at how much he knew, all the vocabulary that he knew, and he gained vocabulary playing it. So it is case by case, and we're really talking about individuals. No toy is going to be perfect for any one group of people.
I think Crazy Legs is probably the coolest because of that physical activity, though.
Yeah.
I mean, at least in terms
really
of
awesome.
This to choose.
I want to encourage people, Candyland's been around forever, and we don't need any more Candyland, but get Crazy Legs and get that movement going on. But pick what's best for you and do that. But we're also I like the squishy ball thing. Great stocking stuffers, squishy balls.
And we have this thing called the squishy ball, which is this weird ball. You'll have to watch the video.
Is it the one that
you blow it up with a straw?
Oh, sounds good. I gotta watch this video.
I think it's episode 9.
Okay, episode 9. All right, we are going to go to break, and as we do, we'll go to the A Word. This is the ongoing documentary following Jack Riley, who was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. He's been the beneficiary of really intensive early behavioral intervention in his home, and he's about 2.5 years into his program now, so take a look at what's going on with Jack Riley. When we come back, Matt Asner will be joining us, and we're going to talk to one of the inventors of this hot new app, InnverVoice. It's something you're going to want to get your kids this holiday season. Stick with us.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack.
Jack Riley.
He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
Exciting.
I say Jack, Jack, Jack is my buddy. Jack, Jack, Jack is my buddy. Everybody around is so down with Jack.
This is the sign they haven't. If you go that way, it would be to the end. So I have to go this way. I'm just remembering this is the school.
He has this new infatuation with streets. First, we thought it was pretty cool because he was, it was like sight words, like he was learning how to read the street signs. That was really cool. But then it turned into his new fetish, I guess you can say, where he starts to perseverate on the ways to go to like dad's work, the ways to go to school, the ways to go to camp, and like it's cool that he remembers how to go to places, but then it's to the point where if you take a different route, he gets really inflexible. So we're starting to break it and starting to redirect him to better questions like, oh, why are we taking this street? Or where are we going? Or who's going to be there? Who am I going to see? More questions that are more relevant than street names. Are you playing your map still? Here's the deal, listen. You can play on your iPad, but you can't play this game.
We're very confident in the school that we're using this year. We're very happy there's only going to be 14 kids in his class. He's going to have a shadow, a brilliant shadow. So I'm excited about the school year.
We already set up goals for him at school. So a lot of them will be, for the most part, will be social goals, but we also have goals such as like him accepting changes in routine, being flexible about things. And for social goals, we have him initiating conversation with peers and also having him be able to make at least 2 exchanges with the peer, whether it be answering a question or making a similar statement. For instance, like if the kid's like, oh, I like Toy Story, and he could say, oh, I like Toy Story too. Or something else like, oh, I don't like Toy Story, I like, A Bug's Life or something. Something else that is relevant, and he knows how to use these conversation skills that we've been teaching him at home and trying to generalize it with kids that are his age. So come September, I'm going to be shadowing Jack Riley at school every day for 3 hours a day instead of doing home therapy.
She's going to try to be noticed as little as possible by the teachers and the students. She's going to help all the kids so as not to stigmatize Jack. Well, the teacher said something very nice in our meeting today, and that is she wants him to have a friend. She wants him to, and he has kids he adores, but I don't know that he has a true friend yet where they engage and play together, and so I'm looking forward to that.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We are joined live in the studio by Matt Asner. So thrilled to have you back from Korea.
Good to be back.
And I can't wait to talk about all of that with you. We have a guest that's going to be joining us talking about a hot new app, InnerVoice.
I want to see this.
You got to see this. This is a really cool, sharp idea. But we're insular here in the studio, and people come in from outside. And you were just sharing with us some tragic news that's happening, breaking news all over the internet.
There was a senator who was stabbed in Virginia, and his son was killed.
Shocking.
I don't actually know the name, but I just saw it flash through on my CNN.
Wow, devastating. Well, if we have more information about that, we'll update you about that. But Matt had just come in and shared that, and I thought it would be remiss of us not to acknowledge and say that our thoughts and prayers go out to the family.
Absolutely, and the state of Virginia.
And the whole state of Virginia. Yeah. Shocking turn of events. But I'm so thrilled. Horrible segue here, but I'm thrilled that you're back and safe. You've been to far distant lands, and we are going to have an opportunity to talk about all of that. But I will say that in just a minute we're going to be joined, and we think that the pronunciation of Matt, we have 2 Matts. We have Matt Asner and then Matt, we think it's Gugamos, but he is going to instruct us on that in just a minute. But one of the creators of this really incredible new app, you've probably seen people talking about it, that we have a lot of apps that are assistive technology and helping the part of our population that is non-vocal to be able to have their voice heard. Yeah. But we're always working towards getting that vocal speech from as many individuals on the spectrum as we can. And Matt and his partners have created something that is really turning the dial and getting everybody really excited. So, and I know we've talked about mirror neurons before on this show, but we're going to talk more about them, and that's a very exciting thing to me.
I think it's exciting.
Very exciting. So we are going to talk about that. We're going to pause, take a break, and then we should be joined by the second Matt. It'll be Matt and Matt.
Matt and Matt.
I'm a Matt sandwich today.
You want to call me Matthew today? So
well, does that work for you?
So it's easier?
Okay.
So we can.
All right. So Matthew Asner and Matt Gugamos, or Gugamos, we're going to find out from InnverVoice. Stick with us.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Hi, it's Lisa Ackerman back for What's Left. I got a nice guest with me today.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
We're going to make some healthy banana nut bread with no eggs. Maybe what you could do, Kristen, I'm going to add the flour.
Okay.
If you can get the bananas ready just by mashing them for me. So I'm going to go ahead and add our flour Here's 1 cup of my all-purpose flour. I'm going to go ahead and add my baking soda and my salt and my xanthan gum. A half teaspoon of the salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is great, but you can also use gar gum. We can use flaxseed meal if we want to use a different binder. Remember, this is what helps keep your gluten-free flour held together. We're going to also add 1 cup of our organic cane sugar. There's a lot of variations on this as well. I can use maple syrup and honey and cook with it. That's a great way to go, but be careful, you may need to add some more flour into the mix. How are you doing, monkey?
I think
Perfect!
I can now say I officially mashed bananas.
You mashed the monkey bananas. So I'll go ahead and take your mashed monkey banana. Thank you very much. All we did, Kristen, lovely Vanna White, is mash up the bananas, getting ready to go for our dessert. So let's go ahead and add egg replacers. We've gotten a lot of feedback from y'all about not using eggs, and I know eggs are a big issue. So we talked about this. We're going to use a little flaxseed meal and arrowroot starch, and I love these, but whenever we use a dry ingredient, and you know an egg has a lot more moisture than these, so we want to be a little kind and maybe add a little water, or more fruit, or a coconut milk or something along those lines. So for this recipe, it calls for 2 eggs. So I'm actually going to use 1 teaspoon of each of these. Look at me using measuring devices. And add that into my mix, and that will be in place of any eggs that you would want in that recipe. Next up is the cinnamon and the nutmeg. This gives it the yum. Now, for kids who are really sensitive to different spices, you may want to go a little lighter on these. So for nutmeg, this calls for 1/8 of a teaspoon, so you really want to go light on the nutmeg. In fact, that's one you could probably cut back a little bit for kids who are really sensitive to smell or taste. And cinnamon, I love cinnamon. Did you know cinnamon has some antibacterial properties?
Yeah.
I love this stuff. So anytime I can add cinnamon to whatever, if your kid tolerates it, it's a great antibacterial. So I love that stuff. If you have a nut allergy, forget the nuts. But these are the chopped walnuts per the recipe. This is a 1/2 cup of chopped walnuts, and I've got my lemon zest. And again, I love lemon zest. My son has grown to love it as I cook for him more often. And then the last thing that we're going to add here in our recipe is the 1/2 cup of oil. Thanks, Vanna White.
You're welcome.
And we'll go ahead. I use grapeseed. You can also use the different Earth Balance soy-free margarine melted. That would be great. That gives a good texture. Awesome. Our mix is ready to go, Kristen. I'm going to put a little oil on the pan. And I love the consistency. Like you were saying, this looks a little bit like a thick pancake mix. Are you ready?
I think so. I just want to make sure I'm not the one that doesn't make it come out.
So again, it is a bit of a thicker texture. I'm going to go ahead and grab as much as I can out of my little mixing pan here. So let's go ahead and put this in the oven, 350 degrees for about 40 to 50 minutes, depending upon your oven and how long you want it to cook.
Ooh.
And this is what the finished product looks like. Yum!
Looks
so
yummy.
For me, this is probably one of the most nutritious, fun things that I can eat. I'm going to have you try some so you can tell me what you think.
I'll be happy to be the guinea pig.
Such
Ooh,
a great
it smells
texture.
so good.
So there you go.
Yummy.
I know. But go ahead and give it a shot and tell me what you think.
Let me see. That is really good.
Yeah,
it's
give me
moist
some of
too.
that. Thank you for joining us here at Autism Live. We've got a great, wonderful snack or breakfast that we can serve up for our kids. That's healthy, ready to go. Kristen, thanks for joining me this time.
Thank you for having me.
Love
That was
having you
fun.
here. And we'll see you next time at Autism Live. What's left? If you have any questions, you can email us at autismlive@gmail.com or hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/autismlive. And if you need more recipes while we're in between shows, go off to the TACA website, tacanow.org. Click on gluten-free, casein-free, soy-free recipes and have a ball. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Welcome back to Autism Live. Very special guest in the studio, Matthew Asner, who's agreed to be Matthew for the day.
I am Matthew for the day.
Because we have Matt Gugamus.
That was good.
No,
Gugamus.
I don't think I think I got it wrong. Say it.
You had it right.
Did I have it right? I second guessed myself. And Matt is one of the creators of this amazing app that's so hot. Everybody's talking about right now, InnverVoice. And I gave the iPad to Matthew during the break, and you had a great time.
I did. I had an amazing time.
You were already having it say things.
It.
He was working with it. It made all these things happen that now you're going to need to show me how to do them. I might give it to you.
Okay.
But so Matt, tell us a little bit about how this app came to be.
Well, initially, I came up with the idea of using an entertainment app that was made by Motion Portrait. And what you could do is you could pre-record responses on it, and then it would animate in kind of a very simple way what you said onto someone's face. And so I started using that with kids who have echolalia. And so, for example, when you say, you know, hello, Billy, oftentimes a child with echolalia will say just exactly what you have just said.
Hello, Billy.
And so I thought, oh my gosh, I don't really know how to teach him to say hi, Matthew, or hi, Matt. So what I did is I pre-recorded, hi, Mr. Matt. And so I came up to the boy and said, you know, hi, Billy, and then played the hi, Mr. Matt, and then he repeated what was on the app, hi, Mr. Matt, and I thought, oh, wow, that was interesting.
Because we should point out that, Matt, you are a speech and language pathologist, correct?
Yes, I am. Uh-huh.
And you've been working with kids on the autism spectrum for a while now, and who better to create an app? What this app does is help build those verbal language skills in kids that it might be a little bit tough to get to that vocal language, correct?
Yes. And so I started doing some research about video modeling, and in fact that video modeling has gotten a lot of traction in terms of a evidence-based intervention for teaching functional skills, including communication skills for kids on the autism spectrum, or people on the autism spectrum. So I got in contact with Lois Jean Brady, who is also a speech pathologist, and she and I worked together very much about how to make the user interface really simple and how to edit everything very simply. And then we contacted Motion Portrait, which is a Sony subsidiary, and they had this technology developed to animate photographs into 3D avatars. And so we started experimenting with it, and it really provided a lot of engagement, which is very different from typical AAC apps. You know, they're often just producing speech. There isn't a lot of engagement. You have to kind of design activities around using those apps, whereas this, you know, a kid can see himself talk or see someone else talk and be really engaged by what's on the screen. It can also model target behavior, which is exactly what video modeling does, is you show an image of someone executing something correctly, and then he, you know, particularly kids on the autism spectrum, they tend to learn very well by watching themselves do something correctly. So this, we can model what they need to do in real time. And we're showing them we can animate toys, we can animate pictures, we can animate a picture of oneself, and it's a lot of fun. And we tried very hard to keep it affordable too, so more people could use it.
Absolutely. And we know that a lot of the apps that you can buy that help with language can get very pricey. Matt's having a ball playing over here.
No, you can actually type words in this, and it will say the words.
Type words and,
wow.
And make your own buttons and everything.
But, you know, some of the different apps that we talk about that people have been using for a couple of years now, they can be more than $100, $150. And so tell them how much they can get this app for right now on the different stores.
Right now we have it for sale. It's promotional sale for less than $10, so $9.99, and then we're going to offer that for a while, and then it'll cost no more than $19.99. So that's the maximum it'll cost.
And really incredible, because not only are you going to be lighting up those mirror neurons, which we're going to talk about in just a second, but there are a lot of things that you can be working on within this app. And we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Matt's going to tell us some of the different things that you can work on in addition to vocal speech, because guess what? You can also work on eye gaze. So stick with us. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to be back with Matthew Asner and Matt Gugamus. Did I get it right?
Once again.
Hey, I'm batting 1,000 here. So stick with us, back after these messages.
InnerVoice, using Mimic's technology, will change how individuals with autism communicate. Meet Amy and Ella. Both use AAC devices to communicate. Ella likes bubbles. Using typical icon-to-speech and text-to-speech, she tells us so.
I like to play with bubbles.
I like to play with bubbles.
Using InnerVoice, she expresses herself in a more personal way.
I like to play with bubbles.
By animating their images, they can see themselves produce target behaviors.
I'm thirsty. May I have water, please?
And in doing so, learn to communicate. See the full-length video for the science behind it.
I would say so.
Welcome back. I'm so excited. I'm here with Matthew Asner from Autism Speaks and an Autism Dad. And we have joining us via Skype, Matt Gugamus. And he is one of the creators of this wonderful new app, InnverVoice, that everybody's talking about. Matt is also a speech and language pathologist. We've been playing with the app, and we've been talking about some of the different skills that this app can work on. So Matt, enlighten us.
Well, one of the things that we can do with it is we can show we can teach how to follow eye gaze. So I got a picture of my own daughter, who's volunteered to be on this. She's 3. And I will show you. Hopefully, can you see the app?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so when I touch, she will look where I'm looking. So I can move around the screen, and she will touch, or she will look where I'm touching.
And so, Matt was just doing that before with our, because we can show our iPad too on the full screen. Matt, make the little boy's eye gaze move, and we can take pictures of our kids or our uncles and aunts and do this. Emily, can you show what Matt's showing? And the head moves around. So we can help to teach eye gaze using this. Absolutely fascinating. But of course, in the beginning, Matt, you were really looking to be able to show that modeling of the speech, correct?
Exactly. And one thing that it's really good for is to teach very difficult concepts, like, for example, mine and yours. And I don't know if you've ever worked with or spoken with a child who has echolalia, but it's very difficult to explain who mine or who I am or who you are. Yeah. So what we can do with this is, I'll give you an example.
Because normally it turns into like an Abbott and Costello routine when you're trying to explain to them, right? No, not mine, yours. No, I mean your mine. Right?
So
that's our first baseman.
You can get rid of that, because you can say, for example, whose hand am I touching? And then
mine.
And it'll say mine. And then all we need to do is follow up and say, all right, that's right, correct. Whose chair or whose chair is that? Pointing at the, let's say my daughter's chair.
Mine.
She can say mine. So and the way that we can do this is through something called remote prompting, which is I have an iPhone that is paired with the device, and what it can do is send messages remotely. And I'm just connecting mine right now, and I can show you how that works. What it does is allows us to send messages remotely, so that we don't have to reach around the screen or do any other distracting movements or give unnecessary verbal prompts. We can just send the prompt remotely via another iPad or another iPhone, so that we can ask a question and the child can be looking at his iPad and then get a meaningful model of what the response should be. So, for example, I'll work with kids, and they'll like to play with these little rocks, and they'll drop them in a box, and they can then I can say, I'm dropping rocks in the box. And they'll copy themselves, say, I'm dropping rocks in the box. And that's a meaningful utterance because they're using the pronoun correctly, and we don't have to explain who I am or you are. And the nice thing is after a few of those examples of modeling, you can ask them, what are you doing? I'm dropping rocks in the box. And many of them will say that without needing the prompt from the iPad.
So we can really adjust this and tailor this to get to that progress that we want to see and fade the prompt. It's a great prompting tool, but we shouldn't leave out the fact that kids can use this to communicate. They're just getting that extra stimulus of showing what it would look like if they were saying it, which will help to make that happen in a lot of our kids, correct?
Exactly. It can be used as a traditional communication device. I can show you an example. Each of the apps, I'll pull this up, has preloaded vocabulary. If you can see those 3 folders,
yes,
for example.
And Matt's got one of those folders open. Can you, Matt, you were just making it say some things before. Can you have your girl say something?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I'm going to actually go back to the basic vocabulary.
Okay.
Let's see.
A salad. A salad I would like to eat.
Okay.
Well, actually, let's do this.
I would like to eat. I would like to eat a salad.
There we go. So it can be very quickly. And you've got you've got different categories there of words. So beginning, up, and the specialized words. That one is just my vocabulary that you had in there. Really incredible tool here that you've created.
I was going to say also, too, you can add your own vocabulary as well. I just took a picture of my finger or my thumb doing a thumbs up and put, can you see that? It says yes. And so I took a picture of my hand.
Mine, yes.
Whoops, I didn't clear the old one. So, and I can touch that.
Yes.
And it will,
oh, wow.
I can load any vocabulary word I want. I could load a picture of, let's say, grandma's house, and then, you know, my child could touch it and say, I love going to grandma's house, even though she's just touching a picture. So that picture image can be a very powerful way to communicate, especially for kids with autism, because they often appeal very well to visual, stimuli.
And it puts the power in their hands. I will never forget, we probably a year ago had a mom who wrote into us and said, some days it is so frustrating because my 19-year-old on the spectrum who does not have vocal speech, having to go through explaining, you know, and all the PEX cards and on his device to be able to explain to me what he wants on his baked potato sometimes is a half an hour exchange, and that he's left exhausted and that she's frustrated and sometimes in tears. And to be able to put that power that he could have gone and taken a picture at any point and loaded it into his own device to be able to say, here's what I want, really exciting. Really
exciting. It makes it very. Oh, I'm sorry. It makes it very easy to find your icons, because when we add icons on this, you can see that I'll just use the basic one here. They just, all you have to do is scroll up, and you can load a number of words and icons in there. And so it's really superior to old-fashioned communication books, because in the past, like you were saying, a person would have to sift through and then try to find the thing he or she's looking for, and that can become really frustrating. And communication is something that needs to occur quickly. So when it doesn't, people become frustrated, or they become less interested in actually communicating. And as you know, many kids will use behaviors to reject things or to obtain things. So if it's quick and it's understandable, and that's the other thing that the avatars serve to do, is that with speech movements being paired with what they're saying, it adds a degree of intelligibility because you can do some lip reading.
And I love the fact that you can customize this however you want. Oh, he's got a picture of me already. Matt's over here. He's taken a picture of me.
I've mastered it, Matt.
Yeah.
Something fun too. I have as well. I have my daughter's doll that I animated here, and I had some. We have let's see here. I can load a message here for you.
I want my avatar to say, "I want to meet Oprah."
I want to meet Oprah.
I want to meet Oprah. That's what I want mine to say.
I'm sorry, I just as a speech pathologist, I just made a sentence that said, "I want to meet happy," not what I wanted to say. This is what it should be. So, as you can see,
I feel happy.
She says, "I feel happy."
I feel happy.
I feel happy.
And it animates her mouth. So
let's see mine, Emily, saying, "I want to meet Oprah." There we go. I love it. I just love it. Okay, we still have to talk about the mirror neurons because this to me is really exciting. So we're going to take one more break and come back and talk some more with Matt Gugamus from InnverVoice. If you have some questions, now is a great time to be asking. Matt, Asner, and I are going to have fun playing with this during the break, so stick with us.
The Institute for Behavioral Training provides courses in applied behavior analysis for the treatment of autism. Access IBT e-learning videos on the move and learn at your own pace.
I'm going to talk a little bit about intensity of
IBT e-learning makes any location your classroom on the go.
So our objectives for today are to really learn what is autism and how is it diagnosed.
Get professional guidance with IBT face-to-face training. IBT face-to-face training courses prepare you to effectively implement ABA-based interventions. Choose between small group and one-to-one instruction. Earn BCBA supervision hours via one-to-one video conferencing.
So I had a chance to review your BIP today. You know what? It looked really good. You did a good job with it.
IBT continuing education courses. Earn credit through webinars, conferences, article reviews, and e-learning videos. You can learn more at ibehavioraltraining.com. IBT, 360 degrees of ABA training.
Welcome back to Autism Live. Our guests here in the studio, we have Matthew Asner from Autism Speaks, and via Skype we have Matt Gugamus, who is from InnverVoice, showing this really remarkable hot new app that he was one of the creators of. I have to pause for a second and say that one of our regular viewers, Mike Hipple, has written in and said that he's loving this. And Mike is sometimes very fussy about assistive technology. He's a huge proponent of it. He uses assistive technology himself. Matt is studying to be a therapist, an autism therapist, which is very exciting. And I have not heard him endorse any other apps that we've shown that are developing speech. So Mike is loving this. That's a huge thumbs up for you.
Oh, excellent.
But I wanted to talk for a second a little bit about the science behind the mirror neurons, because we had read a study years ago about mirror neurons and getting them to light up, and as a result, we bought a Wii so that my son could experience with the avatar and follow what the avatar was doing, and saw that it really helped him with some gross motor and balance and physical things. So tell us what the mirror neurons are doing here for speech.
Well, what mirror neurons do is they aid in learning. So basically, when, for example, when you watch someone do something, the same parts and a part of your brain called the motor strip, there are similar areas that light up that are responsible for starting the sequence of movements that that we would do with our arms, our legs, or with our speech muscles. So in the past, with people with autism, there was this thought that there was a damaged mirror neuron system, but there's actually new research and we included this in the patent, that shows that people on the autism spectrum have a hypostimulated mirror neuron system, so that they're getting less stimulation from that part of the brain, but it develops over time and begins to function quite strongly up to the age of 30 and older. So by showing an image of a person's face speaking, particularly if it's one's own, it's a lot easier to copy a motor action that you see yourself do. So I kind of liken it to if you've never seen what a unicycle is, and someone handed one to you, you would have no idea really what to do with it until you watch someone get on it.
And I don't even know what to do with it when someone gets on it.
Okay, maybe not a unicycle, but a rowboat.
Right.
It works very similarly. So you watch them, you watch yourself talk, and it shows you, oh, my mouth should be moving when I talk, or my teeth should be together when I make an S sound, or we can get very specific. So the idea is, by having a video of oneself performing a set of complex motor actions, then you can, your mirror neuron system will be activated. So that's the theory behind why we have an avatar, but it also serves some other functions too as well, in that it personalizes a communicative exchange. When you're talking, it's much easier to focus on a face than it is kind of a box with just words coming up on it. I'm sorry, that's my dog in the background.
We love dogs on this show.
Is that the dog in the app?
It's not. It's it's actually a friend's dog, but she wants to be part of the conversation. So
that's all right.
Well, I can tell you there is a dog in the app that's already preloaded, and my son will love taking a picture of our dog and having her talk.
I don't know if it'll work yet, though. That's a later feature. The dog is embedded because we had to specially modify that dog to speak.
Well, he will love having that dog speak to our dog. My son will find this very reinforcing, just as a game. I mean, he will love this. But what it can do for our kids to build those speech skills is remarkable. And again, $9.95 for a limited time. And as I mentioned before, we're giving one of those apps away during this hour. If you've been watching, I don't know when the word will appear, but really remarkable, Matt.
Can you remind people how to do it? How to win it?
We'll remind. What you have to do is we tell at the start of the hour that how you can what the thing is that we're giving away during this hour. We're giving away something every hour until our last episode on December 20th. And so this hour, we're giving away one of the apps for free. So you watch during the hour. At some point, a word or phrase will appear on the screen. You need to send us an email. Emily will put the email address up there. You need to, in the subject line, include what the name of the thing that you can win is for the hour, and then the correct phrase. And you must send it to this address, autismlive@gmail.com. Don't put it on the live feature. It must go to that address. One correct response that comes in between now and 7 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow morning will win the prize for the hour. And we have some amazing prizes this week, including this app. Somebody can be getting that for free. But I have to say that $9.99, when we consider what a lot of other things cost, this is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was one of our main goals behind making this InnverVoice, is that we wanted it to be something that that's accessible to people, and we tried everything we could to make it something that can be bought once someone already has an iPad, because as we were saying, that an iPad in and of itself is a pretty big investment, and then on top of that, having to come up with in some cases a couple $100 for a powerful communication app
or more.
It can be out of reach.
And is this available yet on other platforms? Can they do this on an Android yet?
Not yet. Right now, it's solely available on iOS devices iOS 5 devices and higher.
Okay. And so I imagine, though, that the other will be coming at some point, being able to do it on Android and other platforms.
We're hoping, yeah. We'll see what the response is. Whoops, I'm sorry, my camera moved. We're hoping to see what the response is, but it seems that, given how interested people are in it, that we are definitely considering that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we thank you. Do you have any questions for him before I let him go, Matt?
Well, I want to ask him one thing. I mean, one of the things that I think is really interesting about the animation is that I had originally thought that that the pictures were going behind some sort of mask, but that's not what's happening. What's happening is there's an actual animation that's going on, right?
Yes, it's quite a bit more sophisticated than where you can just take a face and put it on a pre-animated set of lips.
So
it's actually
facial recognition, that kind of thing.
Yes, it is, and that was developed by Motion Portrait. That was our co-developer with us, and they also make other entertainment apps. So their background was entertainment, and we are really big on the idea of the importance of edutainment. So if you're having a good time and you're learning something, it's most likely something that you're going to stay engaged with, and most likely something that you'll use more often. And that's the kind of thing you have to do if you want to improve communication skills. You have to be doing it a lot, and you have to be motivated to use them.
Are there just the two voices that are set, or are there other voices?
Those two voices are set right now, but we're planning to offer some in-app purchases for different gendered voices. So, I'm sorry, for different age voices. We wanted to just include children's voices initially, because most of the people who will be using it are children.
Right.
However, we can get adult male and adult female voices into the app too. We just haven't offered it yet because there hasn't been too much requests for it.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, we've got a question here from a viewer. They want to know how old the students are that you're working with. And I imagine, though, this app, you could really use this for any age range, correct?
Yeah, depending on how you want to use it. If you want to use it for pretend play or interaction, or I mean, I've used it for older kids by putting, for example, a copy of, I have Worf from Star Trek, right here, so you can. And
love Worf.
Michael
so
Dorn.
For example,
yes.
An older kid. I'll show you something. So, for example, you could say.
Sit in your seat.
You could have Worf tell.
Sit in your seat.
He says, "Sit in your seat."
Say it one more time, because we only saw his eyes. Pull it back just a little bit. There we go.
Oh, wow.
So
and he blinks.
Sit in your seat with a child's voice. Now, who's not going to laugh at that?
That's
and
pretty
kids
cute.
will often come sit in their seat, so
Yes.
that's one way of using with older kids. I use it often with up to 3-year-olds. I even use it with my own daughter. I wanted to see how long of a sentence I could have her copy, so I had her use it. She's 3, so.
Can you put that back up?
As you said, it can be used with older kids or younger kids.
Can you put that back up for a second? I just want to look at the face again. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing that it matches so well.
It was, yes, this was a photograph of a bobblehead. And if you, as you can see, it'll follow what I'm looking, and it just took it and animated it.
That's amazing.
That's pretty cool, Matt. Pretty cool.
That is really cool. And you say, and I'm sorry, and you say you correct me if I'm wrong. Did you say you developed this at a hackathon that Autism Speaks was involved in?
Yes, Lois Jean Brady won a hackathon, I believe an Autism Speaks hackathon. I'm sorry, I forgot to write down which one it was. But it was through Autism Speaks in the Bay Area over the summer. And she took the video self-modeling component from the hackathon and brought it to the table just in terms of setting up how the avatar would be placed in the screen, how it would interact with the user, and then we paired that with my ideas from some patents that I had submitted using the remote prompting, and then also motion portraits. Existing technology. So that was one of the ways we could keep the prices down, is that we used a bunch of things that other people had come up with and put them all together in a unique way.
That's really cool.
It's
very
remarkable.
impressed. Very impressed.
And again, they can get this at the App Store from Apple. That's the place to buy it.
Yes, that's where you get it. It's right now available at the App Store on iTunes, and it's compatible, as I said, with any device, the Apple device that uses an iOS 5 or higher.
Okay, really remarkable. Thank you so much for being here and sharing that with us, and we're excited that somebody's going to get that for free.
Good stuff, Matt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Really remarkable. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have you tell us about what went on in Korea.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear about this. So stick with us, more after these messages.
Skills is an online program that provides assessment, curriculum, positive behavior support planning for challenging behavior, and progress tracking, and it does this all in one place. The Skills Assessment and Curriculum addresses 8 areas of development, which even includes advanced higher level areas such as executive functions and cognition, which pretty much makes Skills the only ABA-based set of curricula for teaching more complex skills, things like problem solving, planning, self-management, perspective taking, and even inferring and predicting others' private events. Skills is a 4-step system. Step 1 is to add the child to your account. Step 2 is to start assessment. The Skills Assessment is the only ABA-based assessment with psychometric research demonstrating the language subscale to have excellent reliability. Every area of human functioning and typical child development from infancy to adolescence was researched, making the Skills Assessment the most comprehensive of its kind in the world, and we're quite proud of that.
Skills is easy to use. Simply click Start Assessment and begin answering questions. Or simply type in a keyword, find specific activities to assess, and add activities to treatment. Step 3. Choose activities. Once you've completed the assessment, Skills selects from a pool of 4,000 activities categorized by age, level, and skill type to provide you with exactly those activities each child needs. Start by choosing a curriculum, then a lesson, and finally an activity. Click the information icon to view prerequisites, ages in which targets develop, examples, and IEP goals. Click the video icon to watch a short video. Once you've identified an activity you want to teach, adding activities to treatment is a snap. Step 4. Start treatment. Here you can access customizable activity lesson details, add your own customized targets and exemplars, and edit an activity status such as introducing or mastering it. You can even print handouts such as worksheets, tracking forms, visual aids, and other materials. Skills also offers multiple progress charts mapping curriculum progress, lesson progress, and cumulative number of activities and targets mastered over time. The Skills language curriculum is categorized by verbal behavior type so that users can identify progress for verbal operants, such as echoics, mans, tax, and interverbals.
Skills is one of the only programs that provides the ability to write behavior intervention plans, or BIPs, for challenging behavior.
With just a few clicks, the outline of the behavior intervention plan is written for you and ready to be printed and implemented.
You can learn more about Skills today and get started by visiting us at www.skillsforautism.com, or you can call us at 877-975-4559. Skills. Progress starts here.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're here in the studio live with Matt Asner. We can call you Matt again.
Yeah, we can. I'm back to Matt.
Back to Matt. And I wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about, you just got back from a huge trip. You've had a big week this week.
Yeah. It was a big week.
You've been a lot of places doing a lot of different things. But let's start with Korea and remind our viewers why you were going to Korea, and then we want to hear how it went.
Well, I went to Korea to speak at a conference by the Autism Society of Korea.
Okay.
And they invited me to talk about awareness and about fundraising, mostly awareness, because believe it or not, there's a recent study there in 2011 that puts the number in Korea at 1 in 38, which is probably more likely where we are as a whole.
Yeah.
With that number, they still have zero awareness there. There's zero. There's no awareness campaigns. There's nothing going on there in terms of awareness. And they want desperately to get the word out and to talk about autism.
Yeah.
And so I went there to kind of, I guess, be an ambassador for Autism Speaks and talk about the organization and talk about the ways we raise awareness, and it was amazing. It was really amazing. We went to a number of different places. There's some amazing programs that they have set up, just just because they wanted to do something.
Right.
So there's a company called Better Bear, which is a bakery that exclusively hires people on the spectrum.
Awesome.
And so it's an entire factory where all of these people are working, and it was a great model. I mean, it's a model that needs time to develop, and they had an endowment, which was part of the reason they were able to do it. But they're waiting to see if it works, if it's a workable model, and if it's a workable model, it's something to really look at and show to people here. I think it's worthwhile to show to people here anyway, because it's a success story in terms of employment.
Which we desperately
exactly
need.
And we also went to the Children's Hospital, Samsung Seoul Children's Hospital in Korea, and they have an amazing facility there, and they're treating children with autism every day.
So there is treatment, even though awareness is low. There are treatment places where somebody can take a child if they get that awareness.
There is treatment. It's really hard to get because there's no state-run situations. There's no funding. There's no funding. So you really have to be lucky
and wealthy.
And that's a problem. And so, but we did meet with the Ministry of Health and had a very productive meeting with them. And hopefully, hopefully soon they'll be starting to pay for ABA specifically.
Awesome.
And we'll see what happens. But I think they're definitely motivated to do something, which is great. And some of the best people I've ever met, just really fantastic people. Yeah.
I always, whenever I get an opportunity to meet somebody from another country, I always start with the really insane question. Everybody kind of laughs at me, but I say, what's the state of autism where you come from? And everyone thinks that's a hilarious question because autism is autism, right? Except it kind of isn't.
No, it's not.
And they've even been some recent studies that there are differences culturally that have a difference on the social interaction in different countries, that it can actually present in different ways in different countries, which I find fascinating. And then when you add to that what the process is for a family when you find out that your child has autism and how you go from the grief to the action and all the constraints that are put on you by what is happening in the society and then what's available to your child, I think it does look different in different places. And once we get into that, everybody says, actually, I'm glad you asked that, after we all laugh at my insane question. But so you've been there. What's the state of autism there in terms of if somebody gets diagnosed, are they getting diagnosed, first of all?
It's difficult.
And so if somebody does go, if they see in a child and they go and they get the diagnosis and they're not somebody who has a great deal of money, are the kids kept at home? Do they still go to school?
No, they go to school, but there's really no infrastructure to really handle what's going on.
Wow.
Which is unfortunate, but they they want to build something. I keep making an analogy. We had the Orange County Walk on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I was explaining to someone, we are in America here. We're at the bottom of the mountain. We're at the bottom of the mountain. We're climbing the mountain.
Yeah.
But we're at the bottom of the mountain.
Right.
We still have a long way to go.
Yeah, we do.
A long way to go.
We do.
And in Korea, they don't have a mountain. They have to build the mountain, and then they have to start climbing it.
Okay.
So it's it's rough.
Yeah.
It takes it's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of motivation. But the people that I met with there, they have a lot of drive and are really tireless in what they want to do. What amazed me was they were so interested in what was going on in America and with different organizations in America. And I thought that was great.
Well, knowledge is power, and I'm glad that you went and that you got an opportunity to meet with them and come back and give us this rich information, but also to share with them the hope of us being at the bottom of the mountain.
Okay, but that's one thing they do have.
Hope.
They have hope.
Okay.
And I keep saying, hope is everything.
Yeah.
Hope drives you, gets you up in the morning.
Yeah.
Makes you get dressed, put something nice on. You know, it's what drives you.
Central, yeah.
It allows you to live.
Yeah.
And hope is important.
So where are they getting their hope from? Because we see here in the United States that a lot of times, especially with our kids that are a little bit older and the families that the pioneers who went through it first, that hope is not only gone, but they're angry at people who have hope for the young ones sometimes.
And you still see that, yeah.
So where did they get the hope in Korea? What are they looking at that's leaving them hopeful that we can share with some of the people in the United States?
I wish I could tell you.
I wish you could too. I wish you could.
You know, and I'll probably be going back.
Okay,
and that's something I'm really going to look at because, you know, that's the antidote for life, isn't it?
It is, and I think it's the antidote to getting into action. So many times when I don't know about you, but when I meet a parent who's angry, and let's face it, a lot of autism parents, I mean, on any given day, you could catch me and I'm angry, right? Right? A lot of parents are angry, and whenever I've met with somebody who is angry, one of my first questions is, what's going on?
Yeah.
Why are you angry? I know you have a right to be angry, but tell me what it is that's going on, and then let's sort it out. And a lot of times you find that it's a parent who feels like they missed the boat, or that their child was denied something that other kids got, or that they just didn't know and they're angry at themselves that they didn't know.
Yeah, and I think you also have the alternative, which is you have parents that are upset. They've been dealt, you know, something that is very heavy.
Yeah, that they're still in that early grief stage that they haven't been able to progress beyond, and you know, they don't want. Yeah.
That hangs on to some people for years.
Yeah. Well, there are still some aspects of it I think I hold on to that I haven't finished. Like, you know, Nancy Alspaugh Jackson and I talk about it's like an onion. You know, you think you've gotten.
Peel each layer.
Yeah, you think you've gotten to it, but and then you just something happens, and you have to peel another layer off and say. Just the other day we were at lunch and I said, you know, from time to time when I see somebody with a 3-year-old, and the 3-year-old is responding naturally, and I hear the kinds of things that they get to do, I have a weepy day, and more than that.
It happens.
That we didn't get that, but I realize that now at 10, I have so much more because that year when he was 3, we did a whole lot of therapy.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. I wouldn't take that year back for anything, but we missed something I planned on.
Yeah.
And I still have some sadness over that, but you know, but hope is the thing that kicks you in the tuchus so that you do the things that you have to do or the things that you think you need to do.
Exactly.
That get you the progress. And the thing that I try to remind everybody is that our kids are all different. Outcomes are all going to be different, but there is progress that's available for each and every one of the individuals that are on the spectrum to be able to be closer to being able to do the things they want to do. That, you know, we can't promise results ever, but that progress we can promise for all of the individuals on the spectrum.
Yeah, and I mean, for me personally, the most important thing for me is that my son finds a way to make himself happy.
Yeah.
That's everything.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
It's a great way of wording it, because you know, a lot of times I get into a tussle with my son about, well, you need to learn this, and because right? And then later on you can make the choice whether you want to use that or not, is sort of my thing. But I need to keep framing it in the thought to him of, because I want you to be happy, and to me, happy is having choices.
And having choices is making decisions.
Yeah.
It's living.
Yeah, and whenever I talk to an individual who's on the spectrum, who, you know, we get into that discussion of if there were a pill, right?
That's a very difficult question.
It's a very difficult question, and my answer to it changes all the time.
I don't think I honestly, I don't think I would be able to answer that question.
Well, I know when my son was really young, I could have answered that question on a dime and without any problem.
Of course, because you didn't have absolutely, because you didn't have this person that he's grown into,
and now I do, and so I don't know that I could answer the question now, but there are still things that I want to make sure that he gets, because my way of looking at autism is that it's given him some strengths, but it's also put some hurdles in front of him, and I want to give him every tool that I can so that he can decide what to do with the hurdles.
And remember, we're at the bottom of the mountain.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Hopefully,
take a breath.
Hopefully, in a couple of years, we'll be in the middle of the mountain. I'm hoping. You know.
Yes.
It hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
So,
but I have hope, and I know that you do.
I have a lot of hope.
And that's a remarkable thing. We are pretty much out of time here, but I wanted to leave at least a second to talk about 2 weeks ago when I talked to you about what's your favorite toy of all time.
Yes.
And you said, and it's the one that I always say too, so I promised that we would share that.
I don't remember what I said.
You said the bicycle.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The bicycle.
Oh, it's not my favorite toy of all time, but I do love it. No, the Mattel released a kind of video game bicycle.
Yes.
That was called the IntelliCycle.
Yes.
I think
so too.
You hooked it up to your TV.
Yes.
And it had all these amazing
you
kind
put
of
cartridges in there with
spelling
different
games, stuff like that.
Yes.
And it actually made you work physically.
Yes.
And also, you could play games.
And the games were all educational based. My son loved that too.
Yeah, so you could use your hands.
Yes.
There were things that buttons you could push.
Yeah.
And then you also used the pedals on the bike to actually pedal around whatever world you were in.
Right, to get to another game. And
yeah.
There were Scooby-Doo games.
There was a Scooby-Doo game. There was a SpongeBob game.
Yes.
I think that his favorite one was this one where you were pedaling down a road and letters would pop up.
Yes, Jem loved that one
letters
too.
or numbers.
Right.
And you would go for what number they had said.
Yes.
So it was a number matching game.
Yes.
It was a great game.
And then you could pull off the little path into the barn
Right.
and spell words, and then you could go over to the little cloud, and there was one with a bug that
Exactly.
the frog had to catch different letters, and taught them uppercase and lowercase letters. Really remarkable. But you got the exercise and then the gameplay.
And I think they're still selling this.
Yes, I believe they are too.
And you can also go to
Remarkable
garage sales and find them in garage sales because
I have one in my garage.
Yeah.
I don't know that it works anymore, but I have one in my garage. I'm hanging out. I'll bet you it does too. It's pretty remarkable. Great game.
Yeah.
Getting them physically active, and honestly, it was so helpful in teaching numbers to my son.
And it was like pre-Connect.
Yeah.
Pre-Connect. It
Yeah.
was Wii motion, whatever that is.
Right.
But it was just as fun.
It was, yeah,
just
it
as good.
worked. It worked. So we're going to continue to talk about toys all week long. Tomorrow is Ask Dr. Doreen in the first hour of the show. And then in the second hour for Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy, first we're having Uncle Milton games. If you like science or you've got a kid with science, you're not going to want to miss that. And then in the second half of the hour, Leapfrog has some amazing toys and some giveaways that we have. They're going to blow your mind. There's a tablet that we're giving away tomorrow.
Really?
Yes.
Oh boy.
So you were going to say something real quick?
No, I was just going to say my favorite toy of all time, real quick, is a Mattel game, and it was a creature shop. And it had a hot plate that you could burn yourself on.
Yes.
And they were these little square pegs, and they would come out into like dinosaurs and stuff like that. And it was amazing. Then you had a crusher, and you could crush them back into these squares.
Can I tell you, Marvel Science, one of the things from Uncle Milton has spider webs that you can make just like that we're going to see tomorrow.
Awesome.
So you'll want to tune in for that. Really cool, but you can't burn yourself on it, which is also...
That's good.
That's safe for now. We're out of time. Don't forget your questions for Ask Dr. Doreen. Send them to us tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you, Matt. And until then, please give your kiddos a hug from me. Bye-bye for now.